Gets in the series, but 5 changes in total.
Yeah, it really is. They're flocking. We're going, such as the form he is in, walking around and thinking you're the top dog.
Are we about to witness something very special, or will Scotland?
The build-up here has been brilliant. Lenny looking to a little bit better than he did in the first one. Series will definitely want to form of his life at the moment. 9 runs.
And immediate runs, and it's going to be a boundary. Backward point really in place. The man's quite square there. At least get point.
With a boundary, just enough width.
Squares him up. It's not quite how special the atmosphere is here at the Grange, despite the weather being.
Lenny, don't be soft. You've got your beanie on, but they're hard.
There's an awful lot.
Yeah, they've.
5 from the first over means McGurk will keep the for Australia. A bit of news as well. Nathan Ellis in this series, or indeed down in England,
he's anything but that, but he has been the missing link.
Fraser cover point. I think that's Michael Jones there, but Jones is wringing his hand in pain.
Stung a little bit that you would expect from him. He's played a couple of ODIs, 41 off 18 in just his second game.
The circle at this stage of any T20. I deep sorry is going to be this man. He set tongues. Quite remarkable, the ball striking that we saw to do to be even close to as good as a vice. Bowls him. Said it's a little nip backer.
And no wonder, because they have to get that ball moving. It's him. He knows it too. That is a huge. So head departs for a duck.
In the air, didn't we? It was an awful. He's gone for a second ball duck. Funny old game, Josh. This is carved away, going to be carved far right, and that'll give Inglis a bit of confidence.
In bowling lineup, but beautiful hand instead of Matthew Wade. Selectors.
This one's just nipped back in, isn't it?
Both ways, good movement from him, and he didn't miss anything in that first match. To do the same.
Takes the aerial route again, going to get 4. You think of Leask and Green bowling options.
Yeah, almost.
Words from McMullen. Now, an appeal have third umpire in place, remember, today. Hold on, no! You can take going over your shoulder. We'll get a look in a moment. It's 22 for
the ball, but looking straight up into the fog. Think it might disappointed McMullen. He's come close.
Whether he got a hand on it or not, Michael Jones. More action, and this time it's Michael Jones. Just wondering, can we get one more look at the...
Again, I was a bit worried that Chris...
Yeah, this is gone. He doesn't think so. Long on, nestles underneath it. It's redemption in a matter of moment. Be easy in these conditions, but both openers...
Stadium, and he had to juggle it. Hurry. Thought he might be the key man today. He starts for 16. It's 23 for 2.
Did he? Jake Fraser McGurk and Chris Sullivan. Yeah, and just as you saw, that's the square. Now, Mel, you know I do no BBC iPlayer at home. It literally came right. Australia, this will still be a good batting surface. The average hit here.
Oh, he's just trying to go straight down.
Another edge gone to the non-striker's end, well wide of the stumps. Big call. Will and Curry going, do you turn to wheel? To the rope, if not over it. That heavy fog is...
And the thing is, there's plenty of batting.
Goodstrom will get 4. Just giving himself a bit of room outside.
Gave himself some room, enough width to be able to... Hasn't played as many T20s for Australia.
No ball called. He'll be very disappointed with that.
I'll mention the fact he hasn't played a lot of T20 international.
Free hit. It's Brandon McMullen cannot believe it. He's got his hands on his hips. Well, remarked, he don't have the risk of losing your stumps. We'll pick up a couple. Remember McMullen overstepping much, 2 costly moments.
Yeah, they've actually got out of that pretty well, but
Mullen out of his 3rd over. He's going to have none for 20. Give us a sense of the scale of challenge.
2 countries in Australia, there are so many.
The facilities and the fixture opportunities.
That does well at a World Cup, and people.
Yeah, that's an outstanding stroke from Inglis, who just scoops it over his.
Yeah, just helped it on the ball over his shoulder. And a change in bowl.
Flicked off his hip. 6th over in modern T20 game. Really displeased with the run rate given the conditions. Really square, and will get good reward too. It's gone option. Lease could just been sent a couple of yards behind.
Yeah, Australia trying to make hay is in place. And the problem doesn't have the express pace of a Chris Soule.
Dive and beats the dive of the man at mid-off. Some harsh treatment by Josh Inglis.
Targeting wheel, this time dating for the previous ball.
Really, except Glenn Maxwell, there's no one missing. David Warner's gone. The Australian batting lineup to something that they could conceivably chase. Tests out the bouncer again.
Australia 55. Change of bowling.
We're going to bring the Aussies all the way up here. We're going to show them.
One's just caressed all the way. They're not happy about it though.
Yeah, with any real dignity in his figures the other day.
And of course, there was quite a bit of talk, backing away, not playing it. People.
Yeah. Field long off, and that will not make the ball. Trying to get the throw in, just lost his grip
as well, but just got a little awkward bounce on that occasion.
Well, I can hold his hand out there as long as he wants. And as they run for 2, run up available today. We know that direct hits tend to mean the ground, and a direct hit.
Occasion. Slapped away, but there's protection in the deep over Watts first, 12 coming from it at 67.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to say before we had that run, no matter whether the umpire's arm is up or not, he will do it at any point. For me, the other day, it was really, really obvious.
Just gets on top of that one. Committee of the MCC met yesterday. It was a more innovation, and that is taken over the Travis head roll.
We saw him doing against McMullen in McMullen's last over in the circle. He was very comfortable to know even a quarter of the.
Tell them to be ready and expect Jones, because now not going to the off spin of Michael Leask. He's an interesting. And he just goes with it. So Cameron Green getting in.
He was in there for a second and just over the top of McMullen.
Just going to be a single 100 for Australia at the halfway mark. They are.
Right arm seamers. You've got the full package there in that bowl. Scotland, he has been seen regularly clocked over.
Diving field up. Still just a single. Played club football in Melbourne. If it's a bouncer, it's got to be good. you got to want
that down anytime soon. That's off the pitch there, but I think actually he's his express pace here, so and what he brings to the team. But to width, the middle of the middle overs after the first, and capitalise on that width. But I think it's a good move bringing.
And that's going to be a 1 bounce 4 distance. This is terrific stuff from Inglis.
Back into the right-handed batters earlier. Soft, we know it's wet conditions out there. The softness of the ball will be.
Should be out. It's in the air for an age. And here in Edinburgh.
Cameron Green hasn't really ever got going his own range, and as he looks to go through the gears, he gets high on the bar. Green has to go for 36. Australia 150.
Well, it doesn't get any easier for Scotland. Got enough on that to beat the infield.
Inglis, he's really lifted the intensity of this.
And he goes down in that shoulder. He won't have to test it because the
So far in this innings, he uses it to great effect. Nice and straight.
this time just playing across. I think he has spilled his beer. It's a red wine.
Looked to adjust, rocked back, waited for the length.
As Greaves comes back in, drags one down, and he's pumped to Inglis, who's been so quick at picking up that length.
Small man, small his stature, but he hits the ball a long way. We know Greaves.
You look at the way in which this innings is being constructed.
Ability for the bowlers having to be ready to come on and know that we're not being enough consistency in lines and lengths.
Tossed up, they pumped down the ground. Long on is there, but it's going to Chris Greaves.
Yeah, we saw the six earlier from blowing that little into early innings, but he's not going to miss that on a half volley. Just
If you're wondering about those boundary dimensions, it's not a fantastic crowd, I have to say that.
Barrington would have planned to have bowled 3 overs of with that pace to bowl in any phase of the game. It was a game that throughout the majority of it, Scotland, you can then go out and play your game. As that is, we once again recognising length quickly, recognise gap through mid-off, over extra cover, and he gets another boundary to it. Brad Curry comes in again.
He's pick question. Oh yes, he has. Munsey was dead. Inglis batting on a different pitch to him.
The stumps, and that got his rewards there. We'll see the back of the talent and the eye, and being in as he is in.
Tries to a second T20 I100. The talk the other day may have been about Travis Head, but with tests towards the visitors.
Yeah, he's playing okay.
To the 100, he hasn't been able to get much of the strike.
To see Saul back in the side.
There he goes for the second, and he's going to take on the throw. The opportunity against Australia,
building on the success of previous.
And that is going to be great. It's been an outstanding 3 overs for me. It's been away from the innings. It's maybe on top, but Scotland are fighting back hard.
Yeah, some Inglis comes to an end as the Grange clubs.
Tim David, new man to the crease, still no Mitchell, allowing his troops to do all the work. Overs 1 for 17, he'll finish with 6 balls remaining.
Victory that was Scotland's last victory in this.
Be a bad effort. But Tim Swan all the way. Big hits in here for today. From just his second.
Pace off and go higher than that. Anything around waist, David. We saw Brad Curry go either really short.
I suspect if they're rating themselves hard. Boom, boom. Oh, that's monstrous, maybe.
That slot ball. Higher than that. Anything around waist, David. We saw Brad Curry go either really short.
I suspect if they're rating themselves hard. Boom, boom. Oh, that's monstrous, maybe.
That slot ball looking to go nice and full. Miss bang again. The sound of the bat these days.
In his setup, he's clearly a bottom hand dominant player. Be bowling a very full length specialist. Just as things were.
You bluff or double bluff at the moment. Traditional deep mid off, but then Tim David knows to bowl straight. He can set himself deep in his crease.
That's going to be 4 more. The shorts on. That kind of a day.
Yeah, so don't mind that. Last 2 balls going wide, making David trying to reach it. Quite get his line right, and Tim David all he needs a little glove, a little.
Josh Inglis, as Mitchell Marsh held himself back, Australia's whole task, but with George Munsey in the form that he has been in. Crowd right behind them. Michael Jones coming back in, where he will head back towards from alongside Mel Farrell, and it is going to be. And that's what Munsey does immediately. That's where you want to bowl on this surface.
He uses them, but also uses the pace of the ball.
They've got a big crowd, a sold-out crowd, but will really be game on here. He scores that quickly. Another hits it. You don't even need to run. It's 2 at the Grange.
In Kingshaw, as supporters are, they love.
A couple of bounces and skipping away off the surface for 4. He's maybe the best associate batter.
Full repertoire today.
17 for none.
So good. Playing the sweeps and the reverse makes it look easy. fact, he came up to Scotland on a golfing scholarship.
Just very elegant. I'm not saying Munsey isn't, but Munsey can, but he just has a different style. Now, this isn't a long way to go for it, and he will hold on his way today, hasn't it, the Centurion? And
for Michael Jones, on this occasion, I think that may have gets the top edge. Inglis, but Michael Jones, he departs for one.
Comes out in just the second over after the being the leg by from the over thus far. Good captaincy too, you've got to say, from
benefit of having nearly.
Another one plugs into. There are only 3 extras from it, and the big wicket of George Munsey. Challenge now for Scotland. Had that experience. Scottish batting lineup, but this is will get home safely. We're going to get some buzzers. I've seen an extra batter in this team. What a stroke this is. Full stroke for 6. Banged in by Hardy.
Some massive strokes played today. I think on the front foot, takes a couple of 6 up. That ball so early.
Do think of many of the great would have been won by in chases.
Was formed. So there you go. It has happened.
Absolutely glorious. Pulled a little bit on the up, and McMullen starts to get into his work.
He takes something for best. Just a glorious drive.
There's a rich history, isn't there? Lee that bowled him and robbed him of that average of 100. Cricket fans generally will tell you it was actually in Aberdeen.
He did in British soil at Manor. His parents were Scottish. He had his ashes scattered in Scotland. And on one of the off days, Tom.
An official ODI, but it was an Australian touring side that made also a great connection with George Bailey, the current head select. Down the track, and because mid-off and mid-on are up in the circle, finds a way to almost
being back in on him. Just needs to feel.
Just after hitting a boundary, he's by one of the Australian medium fast bowlers.
He just couldn't get going under it. In the end, it was a relatively 5. Scotland 44 for 3.
The vice captain of Matthew Cross thought he.
Gets under, certainly has. Welcome.
That's his 4th boundary of the innings so far. Hands to pick up the length. Here's a signature shot of him. Utilising that.
We're really going to see. We've talked enough in the shed when it comes to batting.
On the sides, we knew that Scotland were going to ring the changes.
Well, that falls safely though. Jake Fraser-McGurk.
The pitch ball there, nice bit of fielding from Tim David down on the boundary. Purchase Zampa gets from this pitch. We've seen a little bit of seam movement. It's not like Australian fans not to be partisan in that.
There is protection, so decent over. 8 gone, 60 for 3.
After that first over, they've never really had an over to keep up.
If you don't regularly have a big over. Recover. It's not going to go all the way.
Over mid-off. We saw an incredible shot he hit.
Goes again. It's going to end up in pretty much the same area, even though.
Bat face just turning in his hand as he looks to extend his arms.
4 to finish. So McMullen. It's the end of 68 for 3.
Yeah, we saw the McMullen going, okay, if you say that, I'll do that. A bit of back and forth for the boundary.
Just be the single, so brings McMullen back. You've lost those early wickets so much now. But he's... And the pressure on Scott.
Yeah, look, side on, we're not going to see, obviously hit him on the back. That full, when it's that full.
the departure of Charlie Tier. Our camera is not as high as really. It's a question of, can someone build a Scotland? Green back in. That is monstrous. That's
McMullen at his absolute best to access over mid-off, and that sort of flips each other up that back leg goes and bangs.
and in fine fettle.
The run rate.
Mentioned before, Michael Leask, he only bat. I think this might be where Scotland look.
They're going to get anywhere close. Smuggley's deep in the crease, being able.
They're getting more vocal, Ali. It's to, I reckon he'd probably. He's so passionate and keen and up and. And that is 6 more.
About the tip, highlighting McMullen looking to hit.
Oh, I'm sure it's all very friendly. Here is another. Well done, well taken, sir. You get a pro.
It just makes, as we see, good running, strong on from the deep. 50 comes up from Brandon McMullen, 51.
And then it's 4 more. So easy on the eye, and he's really giving.
Yeah, just classic cricket shot. As soon as he.
Now he's playing at Evan up hope of victory. I can tell you that right now.
He's going to be the key contributor now. He's.
Oh, down the track, but Tim David is out doing work at full pace by Tim David departs.
Yeah, he's trademarked down the pitch to extend his arms. Just makes it look very easy, but you have to cover.
Slower ball now has picked out the man. Fraser McGurk. Leask and another one falls and not being able to kick on. Leask has to go.
He gets low, but he's almost reaching for it from wide. Nice take by Fraser McGurk, but
2 runs required per ball, only 4 wickets in hand. Ramped around the corner. One of the funny air gloves with Mark Watt to smile on his. They really have to play to the very best of their. Bowls in, leave it, but he was shuffling around the crease. Green
hitting that back of the length, cross seamers, little cutters, little.
Green did really cleverly, was following with a roar in, and there was such energy at points of that. The atmosphere has just been the Australians' brilliance. And that's going to be 2 and 2. We're slow, and that was express pace.
He's got the ability in him, but if he thinks it's an area, he line, good lane, top of off, that's you like to see it. Unable to make contact. Gus Green picks series win. Chris Soule has to go first.
And there's been 5 Australian hat-trick. Well, he's looked for the Yorker. Can't get anything on it.
Oh, he must have been thinking if they get him number 10 coming into bat, they're getting tall order this second innings, but they
doesn't paint the picture of how competitive this game is.